Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Championship week, baby. Some would argue better than next week. And we'll start this hour talking college basketball as the great Pat Forde joins the program now. You can read him at Sports Illustrated. He's on X at by Pat Forde, and he is on the Progressive guest line. As always, Pat, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Doing great, guys. Happy March to you.
Back at you. So of the teams at the very top of like any power rankings that you're going to look at, the Dukes of the world, Auburn, Florida, Houston, maybe throw Tennessee in there. Is there a team on that list that you're not fully on board with going into the tournament?
Oh, yeah, this is crazy because I've basically advocated for Auburn to be the number one overall seed, but little concerned. They're taking a 2-game losing streak into Nashville. We'll see how they do there. And this is a team that I think is overachieved based on preseason expectations. And so have they hit a ceiling, and now are they in danger of regressing? And the other X factor there is Chad Baker-Mazara, who's a fantastic player, but never stops getting himself into stuff on the court, whether he's running his mouth or he's throwing elbows. He's been tossed out of games. He got thrown out of their NCAA tournament game last year against Yale early, and they lost. And when you've got an important player who is that volatile, I worry. I don't see him losing in the first round. They're not going to lose a 116 game, not with that level of talent. But round 2, there's starting to be some cracks show up there that a good team could exploit.
You wrote about this, and again, you're a must-follow on X. How about Duke? Which the timing and the calendar and the unfortunate part of this sport where he can't do both jobs at the same time, Duke loses their key assistant, Lucas, who takes the Miami job because the portal starts the 24th of March.
Yeah, that stinks. It really does. I don't like that. And, in retrospect in writing that, I might have let Jay Lucas off a little easy there. I think that you've got a chance to be part of a national championship, and I get it. It is tough. It is not convenient. Their season is over, so that job is available right now to start doing the work. They introduced him today, in fact. But boy, you are walking away from a team that you've been with and a chance to win a championship and a key role with that team as a defensive coordinator, basically, for John Shire. And just reading body language a little bit, I was at the North Carolina Duke game. I think there's some players that are a little bit stung, feeling like, I can't believe this guy would leave now. And
yeah.
I mean, look, the reasons are there, but at the same time, is there a way you can construct a staff and say, hey, you guys hold down the fort. I'll work 16 hours a day or 20 hours a day, and half of that will be on Miami stuff, but I got to finish things out here at Duke. I don't know whether you could do it, but I would have liked to see him try.
Well said. Yep, absolutely. You're also spot on about Drake. And Drake wins the auto bid and wins the Missouri Valley. They're 30-3 on the season. A couple things here. Number one, do you think they were going to put him in if they lost? And number two, how interesting is it and wild that the fan base was upset at the hire after they lost their coach and they were called D2 Drake because they get their coach from McCollum from D2 and he brought like 4 of his players. Like I think 7 of the 9 guys they play hadn't played Division I basketball last year.
Yeah, it's wild. And there's no doubt that there's some fans that are probably doing revisionist history. Like, oh, yeah, no, I was happy we had them all along. Sure.
Yes.
But it's an incredible story. They are a really good team. You're 30-3 in a good conference. Missouri Valley is not a rummy league. And if you do that, and so they say they would have lost yesterday, maybe 29-4, and you don't get in, you have set the bar at an impossible level for every mid-major. You've basically just said there's nothing you can do that is good enough. And that would have just been a real shame. So I'm glad we don't have to even cross that bridge with them because they took care of business and they're getting in no matter what now. And now, will they be a 10 seed? Will they be an 11? Whichever. If you're a 6 or a 7 and you're drawing them, good luck.
Yep. No kidding. I'll give you another team So UC San Diego, incredible story. For what it's worth, they've been like the best team against the spread in college basketball all year long. I'm looking right now at Ken Pom and Bart Torvik, like just some numbers. They're top 40 in Ken Pom, and they're right next to North Carolina in both like sets of power ratings. Let's say Carolina loses right away in the ACC tournament and San Diego loses it in the Big West title game, and it comes down to those two teams. They have to go with San Diego over North Carolina, but I'm not confident that they would.
I know. That's what they have to do. And if they don't, it's an absolute crime. I mean, North Carolina has done virtually nothing this year. They beat UCLA in December on a neutral court. Congrats. But they've lost a lot of games, and they've had lots of opportunities. That's the one thing where I hear fans are like, well, UC San Diego is only 2-1 in quad one games. Well, they've only played 3 because nobody wants to play them. They don't get the opportunity after opportunity after opportunity that other teams do. Carolina doesn't win those games. They play a lot of them. Xavier doesn't win those games.
Right.
They play a lot of them.
Right.
And they got the chances that they got, and they took care of business when they had those opportunities. Drake was 3-0 against power conference teams this year. None of them at home. Nobody's going to Des Moines to play them. Nobody's going into UC San Diego's gym to play them. So you've got to do it away from home. And they've done it. I mean, UC San Diego's 27-4. As you said, their metrics are all great. And if they get left out because they lose a final to UC Irvine, that would just be a shame.
Right. You also wrote and tweeted this too, and you're right. These teams keep showing us who they are. Losing games and getting blown out. Like, we know your comparison to Virginia last year was spot on. They had no business getting in. They come stumbling into the tournament and got their asses kicked in the play-in game.
Yeah, I mean, they were awful last year in that playing game because they were an awful team. They were not good. I mean, that was abundantly clear. They kept getting blown out late in the season. And for them to have gotten in ahead of Indiana State, that was as mad as I've been over a committee decision in a long time. For the most part, I think they do a good job, but I thought that was blatant favoritism to a power conference team that hadn't earned it. And, if we'll see if they do it again this year, but there are teams like Texas. My goodness. I mean, could they play any worse down the stretch of this season? And, if they get in and a UC San Diego at, let's say, 29-5 is left out, I'll be disappointed.
Yep. You've been on a heater the last month. Incredible reporting on the story with Sugar Shane. And we mentioned it on air, and I encourage everyone to read that and the incredible reporting at SI that you did. The other thing was your rant, too, on the pod, which your basement flooded with the timing. But the fact that the SEC and the Big Ten could be the ultimate villains here if they don't get their way and decide to do their own thing. Your thoughts and your rant on we want 4 automatic bids every year in a college football playoff.
Yeah, it's just, it is a criminal abuse of power, in my opinion, to try to guarantee you something that if you're just barely doing your jobs right, you should get anyway. You should get 4 teams in if you're the SEC or the Big Ten. But to rig it beforehand and say, this is the way it's going to be before the season even starts, and basically tell everyone else, your second-class citizens, third-class citizens, just completely rubs me the wrong way. And it's a continuation of them trying to marginalize everybody else. They've already changed the revenue distribution further in their favor. They're going to get more of the playoff money. They already get more of the TV money from their media rights contracts. So it's like, how many advantages do you need to have written in as opposed to just going out and earning it on the field? It's really bothersome. That's just kind of the trend of college athletics of, the people that have the gold make the rules. And I just don't like it for the good of the enterprise as a whole.
Well, and then to, go full circle here and tie in an expanded field for March Madness, if they go to 76 teams or whatever, as we talked to Jerry Palm from CBS like 2-3 weeks ago, he said they're not doing that to expand for VCUs of the world. So if we get, 8, 10, 12 more teams in this tournament, you can forget about having more of the little guys in.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like if you look at most of the, the projected teams out of the field right now, 75 to 80% or more, maybe even are power conference teams. And so that's what the expansion is for the 12th team in the Big Ten and the 14th team in the SEC. And God forbid the poor ACC, the fourth, fifth, sixth teams from there. They are not looking to expand so that a team that has a really good regular season from a mid-major conference and gets beat in their conference tournament has a landing spot in the big dance. That is not the purpose at all.
If you were to plunk down a little bit of change here on any team to win the title, which team would you take a shot with?
I tell you, the one I think you could get a decent price right now is Florida. I like the Gators a lot. I think they're extremely cohesive, talented, well-coached, have all the pieces. Not, five-star blue-chip pieces, but really good players that they've put together. I think they've done extremely well in, a very, very tough league, and I think they're hitting their stride. They're going to be tough in Nashville and tough thereafter.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're awesome. You can always read Pat in Sports Illustrated and also follow him on X as well at @Pat40. Pleasure talking to you as always, sir. Thanks so much for the time.
My pleasure, guys. Enjoy the month.
You too. There you go. He was on the Progressive Guest Line.
Like his colleague said, Dan Wetzel, well, the conference commissioners want this and the ADs and the coaches. Well, of course, they get bonuses.
Yeah, no
so
kidding.
it's like, I made the tournament. I made the playoff. I get a bonus. I mean, of course they're going to say that. Everyone, they make more. They get more money and get raises and it's stuff. How about Keats getting fired? Which I didn't have a problem with.
No, people that I trust, like on social media, like this had to happen. Last year was a total outlier.
Right. But absolutely. But by making the Final Four, it then triggered an extension, so they got to pay him $7 million. But then they sucked again this year, though.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into the NBA up next. I think we had two strong examples of who the most valuable player in the NBA is, really, over the weekend. We'll run it down for you next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll hit the NBA here, and I will preface this by going back a few years. New audience all the time. We did mornings for 7 years here on VSiN, and my immediate reaction the day on the air, the day after, I think it was the day after, unless it happened on the weekend. So in my mind, it happened a long time ago, but it was the Clippers-Oklahoma City deal, where Paul George went to the Clippers in exchange for SGA and a bunch of picks. The next day on the show, called it Oklahoma City's getting the best player in the trade.
Mm-hmm. You did.
Loved SGA coming out of college. Rick Pitino made a mistake, as he always did, by not knowing which players, not Rick Pitino, John Calipari, made a mistake. He always played the wrong guys at Kentucky. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was behind Quad A Green. Anybody who watched those Kentucky teams would tell you that SGA was better and should have been playing much more than what he did. And so that was my reaction. And, I get them wrong a lot. That one I happen to get right. And I'll take you back to June after the draft in the NBA of 2023. On the air, I told you the next day, you need to get on Oklahoma City futures immediately to win the West and to win the title. I had 60-1 to win the West. I had 80-1 to win the title. I had 100-1 to win the title in pocket. They were the 1 seed last year. I'm telling you that because I'm one of the biggest SGA fans in the world. I think the guy, he's having an incredible season. And if he wins the MVP, okay. I guess, voters made up their minds a long time ago this season. I can't get over the year that Nikola Jokic is having. And I'm telling you right now, the Joker's the MVP of the league. He is. And there were two examples, I think, over the weekend that really, for me, kind of like cemented it. I was there already. But if you consider the game against Portland, that was on Friday night, the opening number was Oklahoma City 14.5-15. And then they decided to sit everybody in the game, including SGA. Portland's been playing solid basketball, great young nucleus of players. As a 2.5 point dog, they lost by 18 points. That tells you how good Oklahoma City is overall as a team. They got so much talent, it's absurd. And then you tie in what happened with Joker against Phoenix, and then that just like, okay, what else has to happen?
That's right.
He had a 30-20-20 triple-double for the first time in the history of the league, and this is one of my favorite tweets out of any human being ever, and I don't even know who Dan Hyatt is. but he's a stats guy for the NBA and I think for the Nuggets. He pointed out at 10:22 left in the third quarter, Joker logged his 29th double-double of the season. He had 13, 10, and 10 at that moment in time. Then, after logging that triple-double, he had another triple-double, 18, 11, and 12 for the rest of the game. As I quote tweeted that, and I said we needed an MVP straw poll the second that game ended.
Yep. I one-up you, and that's a phenomenal tweet. In NBA history, no player has ever finished a season ranking top 20 in all of points per game, rebounds a game, assists a game, steals a game, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage. He's top 10 in every category. No one's ever been top 20. He's top 10 in every category. Never played with an all-star. They are lost when he's not out there. And the fact that he's making Westbrook look good, even though he had the horrendous performance where against the Lakers in the other night where he was 1 of 9. The teams are daring him to shoot, and he's going to take the bait. You know how that's going to go. But he was called the vampire in the Lakers locker room because he sucked out all the joy and how bad he was in a B.A. Baracus bad attitude. And also how bad it was down the stretch in L.A. with the Clippers. And he's been great playing, but he's playing with the best player in the world. But I also go back to what you just said, and I like your breakdown, but I have heard people with votes saying anytime it's close, the tiebreaker goes to the guy who's never won it yet.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and I cannot... No. Honestly, there needs to be a full reevaluation of who gets votes for something like this. You can't determine who wins the MVP based on some stupid narrative like that. It's completely made up. Like, that's fairy dust. Where is that coming from? Yeah. Why? This guy, Joker, should be the 4-time reigning MVP. The reason why Joel Embiid won it 2 years ago is because Joker already had 2 of them, and he never won a title. How did that look?
And he didn't want to win, and he was just bothered by all the... Remember, the criticism was going on.
That's right.
From people on ESPN and people who played the game, bringing race into it, and then that got ugly. And it's just like, what are you doing?
Because they're a bunch of dopes.
I know. Watch the game.
Sure.
And we'll play it later, but I don't know how many people saw this. But Barkley just blasting ESPN on Thursday on the pregame when they're going to work together next year, just saying all you do is talk Lakers and Warriors, and you don't talk about OKC and the other teams, and it's absolutely ridiculous what you do.
Incredible rant. So, again, Joker had never won a title. He was back-to-back MVP. They said, no, can't give it to him again. What happened that year? He went on to win the title. Joel Embiid's never been out of the second round. So they gave it to him, and some people were saying, you need to have like an all-time season if I'm going to give it to you three years in a row.
Yeah,
right. What are we doing? He kept playing better and better every single year. And this is, as a guy who's won it 3 times, should be 4 in a row, this guy's having his best season ever, and he's having the best season in the history of the NBA. And if you take him off the court, the team's probably not a playoff team. If you take SGA off the court, and SGA should be in the mix to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's an unbelievable two-way player. If you take him off of OKC, they're still the 1 seed. That's how good they are. So, and
then he's $5 on top of it.
Of course.
Not only that, $5 favorite.
I can't wait till the next MVP straw poll comes out.
Right. Well, he got close, though, after what happened Friday, but then they went head-to-head.
Oh, of course it did.
Yeah, then that happened, too. But so,
Paul, if they this is like their whole, it's all about, you tie in these dumb narratives and then recency bias. If you did an MVP straw poll right after that game, I bet 60% of the people would have said that they're going to give it to Joker. But because they lost last night to SGA and the Thunder, if you did one after that game, they'd say, about 80% have to give it to SGA. So what happens tonight?
I know they play again.
What if Joker has 30, 18, and 11 tonight and they win the game? And then he has to win the award?
What if he's great and they lose a close one, which it could happen because OKC's so good and they blew him out and Holmgren hardly played. So that's another angle to look at.
Sure.
But 9-point favorite at home. I would hope they would win with Gordon banged up too. But
as a side note, I hate when the NBA does this.
Oh, I know. Like the baseball series and what they're doing? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But where are you at with it though?
He's got he can't be $5. SGA cannot be a $5 favorite. No. We're seeing stuff that's never happened before. And the fact that, I just like his reaction after the game with Van Pelt. Hey, you said set history records broke up. Never happened before in the history of the league. And okay, yeah. Well, I'm glad we got the win. So he could care less. I mean,
we had a guest on the show, Chad Andrus, a long time ago during this season, so months ago, and he brought it up, and I agreed with him. I didn't even think about it before because I'm not a legacy guy, but he said that Nikola Jokic is a top 10 player of all time. He's knocking on top 5.
I think so too.
You can't deny it. I don't care. Again, this is people are going to say, "Oh my God, that's blasphemy!" And Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Is it because how he looks?
I don't know. Honestly, I think those people don't watch the league anyway. They're stuck in the 80s.
I know. There's just something weird about the NBA right now, where people don't realize what's going on night in, night out, and then you have the older generation that's all, well, we were the best. We were, I mean, give me a break. Did you guys lift weights? I mean, you smoking cigarettes? Half the league was doing yayo in the 80s.
Sure. You know what? You can put together your best team of all time from the 60s and 70s. I'll put together a top 5 from today and going back maybe 10 years. You'll have no chance.
Right.
Nothing against those guys. You'd have no prayer.
I love Barkley, too, and his rant was all time Thursday. But the other thing is, like Ryan Russillo said yesterday, these guys wear it like a badge of honor that they don't know players and don't know teams. And then when you get called out about, let's talk about this team or let's talk X's and O's, which you never do either. But we know this because he was sitting right next to us. Barkley is jealous, and Barkley is pissed off with what these guys make. Because salaries are so, and Barkley's already said, I wish my mom would have held out and had me a little bit later. Because we saw him at the golf tournament at Lake Tahoe. The whole time he's hitting on the range, hitting balls. He's like, can you believe what these guys make? I can't, but he's going off for like 10 minutes. And this was 15 years ago. Imagine what he thinks now. Mm-hmm. These guys can't even play there, and they're making $100 million. And they got, that ties into it as well. But it goes back to it's, we would beat these guys. No one could beat us. And they were saying this about the 2017 Warriors. And
who's a better player, Nikola Jokic or Shaquille O'Neal?
I mean, come on. One guy was a liability who couldn't play in the last 5 minutes of a game.
Shaq was the most dominant player maybe I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's better. In fact, Shaq's not the best since like the 90s. Shaq's not the best center in basketball. That'd be Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem was better than Shaq. And so Hakeem's the best center I've ever seen play the game, but Nikola Jokic is right there with him now. And so, you got to have an open mind.
It's just stop with the negativity. Appreciate the greatness and realize he's an all-time player. And also realize the supporting cast, which if he goes out, if they suffer one injury, all hell breaks loose. You're right.
It's incredible how weak they are really behind him when he's actually off the court. The numbers don't lie, Paul. They don't lie. So we'll get into tonight's card, some of the numbers to look at coming up here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
I really like this hour during this part of the season now, Pauly, our first time doing afternoons during the NBA season, because the news that we get leading into like 7 o'clock tip-off or 7:30 on the East Coast, it's bonkers every single day.
Oh, yeah. Wait till we get to the final weeks of the season. No kidding. Like the last week and a half of the association, forget about it.
So you can run down who the Celtics are going to be without tonight. Before you do that, let me just point this out. The ultimate sandwich spot for any team maybe this entire season in the NBA. They just put everything into that game against the Lakers, national TV on Saturday night. And they got hit with a couple of haymakers by Los Angeles during that game. But again, to prep for that game, they were sitting guys on Thursday night against Philly so they could be ready at home against the Lakers. So they won that game. On Wednesday night, the Boston Celtics get Oklahoma City. Tonight, they're taking on one of the worst teams, and the number was 17 moments ago until, we found out who's going to be missing, at least for the Celtics, down to 15.5 in this game. How long is the list? Is it a CVS receipt tonight of guys who are going to be out?
Yeah. Porzingis out, Tatum out, Horford out. Horford was great against the Lakers, but that's the list.
All right, well, that's manageable still.
Yep.
Unless others get ruled out here in the next 15 to 30 minutes, possibly.
And the Jazz haven't been playing anybody.
Well, the number one guy, again, the Jazz, I'll remind people of this, the Jazz, they're so bad in almost every single area of the game, but they are especially dreadful when it comes to guarding or neutralizing the opposing team from three. They're awful. Who are they taking on tonight? The team that takes and makes the most threes in the entire league. And sportsbooks have been extremely slow, from what I've seen anyway, in posting Peyton Pritchard props tonight, dreading like this kind of a thing, thinking that they can't open up too low in case everybody plays. And then they take the chance that guys are going to get ruled out, and all of a sudden Peyton Pritchard goes for 37 points and hits 10 threes tonight.
Right. Have we found the guy in Dallas now? I thought it was Dinwiddie. He's not. He's been awful. Somebody has to score. And Marshall was a stat sheet stuffer. That's the guy.
Tip of the cap to Dustin Sweetelson. He's been on this guy for...
He's been Marshall?
Yes.
Wow, has he been great.
Yeah.
A lot of energy, attacking the rim with reckless abandon. That's the guy.
PRAs.
Because someone's got to get points and assists.
That's right.
It was strange the first couple games where no one was getting any assists. But now this guy, he's been delivering. So look at his props, and that's the guy you want to ladder. It's madness here. What do we got? Okay. The Joker's going to play. Murray out. Murray questionable. Gordon out. Beal out. P.J. Washington out. Oubre out. Grant doubtful. Bob Williams out. Hero available to play. How long has this guy been sick? Come on. Wiggins going to play. Burks out. Paul George out. Olynyk out. Lonzo Ball out. Fred VanVleet out.
He's out, okay.
Trae Young out.
Trae Young is out, too.
Murray hopeful to play now. That just came down 10 seconds ago.
Okay.
All right, that's your latest information.
Oh, and by the way, I'm finally seeing numbers for Peyton Pritchard. It's 17.5 points, and his made threes prop is either 3.5 around minus 118 or 4.5 with plus money on that. I think I got to take him over 3.5 threes. He's going to get a ton of looks. The Jazz are so bad against defending a three ball.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll give you another guy who I bet tonight, because the team that I targeted, and I had multiple losers on Friday. How about that? That would have been one of the biggest upsets in the history of the NBA based on the point spread if the Cavaliers lost that game to Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And they were in a war for 2.5 hours.
They were.
But Charlotte's a team. I didn't have Sam Merrill. Sam Merrill is the guy that was 4 for 4 in that game from 3. That probably paid 10-1. Who knows?
Yep.
But I have to go with somebody from Miami tonight because Charlotte's 3-point defense is equally as bad as Utah's. So I went with Duncan Robinson over 2.5 threes.
There you go. Sounds good. Yep. Lakers in action tonight. This is big now because you're right there with a chance to win against Boston. I know that's what Boston does. They fall asleep when they have big leads. The Lakers also had a horrible third quarter. Again, they did a good job defensively, and it's a sick run. You have those numbers. It's a sick run for Lakers opponents, team total under. So now LeBron's out of 1 to 2 weeks. How far do they fall back in the standings? Because it's one thing to lose this guy. It's another thing. The timing couldn't be worse. It's during a road trip. It's a tough part of your schedule. And coming up, because of the fires, you play 6 games in 8 days.
Oh, yeah.
Since January 15th, when they got Finney-Smith and Vanderbilt back in the trade. Number 1 in defense. They were 21st at the time. But since then, number 1 in defense. Opponent shooting 33% from 3. Number 1. They also, opponents shooting 33% wide open threes as well. So, yeah, there's a little bit of luck factor. So the number 1 defense, number 1 3-point defense, and they continue to miss wide open looks as well. And the sick underrun from a team total. But you still have Luka. You got Reeves back. Finney-Smith defensively, Vanderbilt, Vincent. This is where the supporting cast has to step up. And we'll see if the Lakers can get back on a winning streak here. And they're laying 6 tonight against Brooklyn.
Okay, they're currently percentage points ahead of Denver for the 2 seed.
Which is huge, yeah.
So they're also only a game up on Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis currently the 4. They're 2 games up on Houston, and they are 5 games up on Golden State. Are the Warriors going to lose again?
They're 11-1 when Butler plays. And their schedule's so easy. I think they're laying too much tonight, though. That's crazy.
It's a big number.
11.5 against Portland. Portland, the last 23 games, number 2 in defense in the league.
Mm-hmm. So how far can they realistically fall? Can they fall?
Let me see how they look here in the next couple of games. And let me know how long's he out. Is it just a week? Is it 2 weeks?
I'll say it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, because this is a brutal stretch here with 6 games in 8 days.
Put it this way.
But I have Luka, though.
If it's 2 weeks, well, it's also a tough schedule, though. The teams, too. We're talking about not just how many games, how many nights. They could realistically fall out of getting home court in the first round.
Yeah, all these teams are bunched up.
Sure they are.
Mm-hmm.
So a 5, I think a 6, maybe.
Oh, God.
That seems unlikely, but I'd say maybe 5.
That would be wild if it's, whether it's Lakers, Denver, Minnesota, OKC in the semi second round, or Lakers, OKC, and Denver, whoever, which could happen. Golden State against somebody too. So you're right. Golden State's been great, and it's changed everything with this Butler trade. The schedule's also been easy, but that's too much tonight. We also got a big move in the Knicks game. Kings off the overtime thriller last night on the road. Now they're back home. Knicks waiting for them. Kings open 1. Knicks now laying 3 in that game, as Brunson's out at least 2 weeks. And this is a good thing you're sitting down. The Chicago Bulls, going into Saturday, were 3-9 in their last 12 games. They gained ground for the 10 seed. They improved in the standings.
They gained ground on which teams?
The teams behind them. Sixers
like
and other crap.
Philadelphia.
Yeah,
and...
even though they went 3-9 during that stretch.
That sounds about right.
That tells you no one wants to get in other than the Bulls and make this. And then you got this Hawks game against the Sixers. Trae Young is out. George is out. Everyone out for Philly. They've been atrocious. You know, the total was 235, but this Atlanta is plus 115 and the favorite now to win the division.
Yeah, they were plus 650 last week.
Yeah.
And I think JVT, by the way, Jonathan Von Tobel, was urging people to take Atlanta at that price. They were all right there. Orlando's been playing miserable basketball for 2.5 months. They've had a zillion injuries, obviously. And the Heat are evidently going to go nowhere this year.
Right. And as bad as Dallas has played, the Spurs cannot be laying 7. Most points the T-Wolves have scored in years last night. San Antonio was on the road. Now they're back at home. They don't play a lick of defense. And I think only a couple wins since Wemby got hurt. The Fox trade has done nothing. It's more about the future. But to be laying 7 against Dallas? No way. Can't be. They can't guard anybody. So that can't be either.
Which props do you want to go with Najee Marshall? Do you want points? Do you want PRA?
PRA, and what is he in terms of ladders with assists and rebounds?
Well, it's 20.5 points. That's the first one that you're going to get. And points, rebounds, assists is 33.5. So that the combined rebounds and assists are right around 13.5. Or 13, I should say. Yeah. That's a big number at this point. But
well, he was great. He's been great. So
I know.
Again, someone's got to get all these numbers with that offense, right? Right now, the VSiN Watch app is free. You got to stay connected to the action wherever you go with the VSiN Watch app, available on your phone, tablet, and smart TV. With the VSiN Watch app, 24/7 live access to the audio and video streams, replays of your favorite shows, never miss a moment, big screen streaming straight to your smart TV, quick access to clips by sport, tailored to your interests. That's huge. The prop analyzer is awesome, and all the stuff up there with college hoops as well. All the conference previews on a daily basis. Watch VSiN anywhere and download the Watch app today. Get all the features free until March 16th.
College basketball right now. Towson, they closed, 6.5 against Delaware. Towson leads 24-23, under 5 minutes to go first half. In play, they're minus 5.5. And they now trail by a point. Total is 142.5. Towson's minus 265 on the money line. You can find 2-1 or better right now on Delaware, the way it looks. We'll get to our in-pocket plays coming up here and Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3-1 odds. Nope. 5-1. Nope. 10-1. You're out.
All right. I'd rather be lucky than good. Horrific beats all weekend. I was on most of them. Portland against Pepperdine. They led by 14 with 12 minutes left. Laying 1.5. Couldn't get there. North Carolina plus 11.5 against Duke. They had the lead with 10 minutes left. Couldn't cash that ticket. UNLV plus 12.5 against New Mexico. Was a 1-point game with 6 minutes left. Couldn't cash that ticket. Blackhawks, Utah, first period over. Utah scored 50 seconds into the game. Couldn't cash that ticket. Capitals Red Wings over a winner. All right. So this is at a couple of spots, and again, hard to find. Texas Tech to make the Final Four 6-1. That's the pending, but the Suns are $1.05 to make the play to participate in the play-in tournament. How many games are the Mavs going to win? It's like, so you're going to get it by default. And the Suns are still playing hard.
How many are they back?
They blew out 2.5, is it? And they blew out the Mavs on the road yesterday. Why was that on national television?
2.5. You're right. I mean, are they
going to win a game? I'm serious.
Yeah, here's the thing. The Suns are not going away at all. Like, they want to finish the season and have something to play for here.
Right. And it's not like they're phoning it in, even though there's chemistry issues. They took Denver to overtime, and they almost beat Memphis on the road.
Yeah.
So they're competing, and I'm exactly $1.05.
I think it's a buy sign right now, Pauly.
All right. There you go.
Okay. Friday was a weird one, man. And by weird, I mean not good. So the 3-point props that I gave out against Charlotte, man, Cleveland almost lost the game.
I know.
Charlotte was in it or leading the entire time, and Cleveland was laying 16. Oh, well, DeAndre Hunter, 3 plus 3-pointers, no good. Max Strus, over 2.5 threes, no good. Trailblazers plus 2.5 against the Thunder. How'd that one go? They said everybody. Wiggins had 30 for the Thunder. God, that kid is good. And they won by 18. That was a loser. The Valpo Northern Iowa game in the Missouri Valley, under that got there.
Can you believe it? We talk about it every year. And not to this extent, where 10 straight went under.
Right.
But
and
that's
a 12-point move and it still goes under?
12-point move, right. And last year, I think 6 of the first 7 games went under of the tournament.
Yep. I had a couple of other losers, by the way, not in pocket. I had James Madison to win their conference tournament. They lost to Troy yesterday by 19. They were never in the game. And then I just looking around at prices. Bucknell grabbed plus 135.
That was a good number.
And they made a run against Navy to, I think, cut it to 1. And then they just...
On their home floor, ridiculous.
Right, as a 5.5-point favorite.
Yep,
Navy controlled that game?
Navy in the title game Wednesday. 20 to 1 to win it, and under 500 on the season.
This actually saved my weekend. Russell Henley top 20 plus 105, and I had him 44 to 1 to win it outright.
You did?
Yeah.
There you go.
But I also, again, I gave some back on Morikawa.
Yeah, I had Morikawa, and I also I bet Sepp Straka too, because Indy Jeff tipped him. But good job, right. Indy Jeff, for having Henley, 45 to 1. Okay, so plays for tonight. Talked about this in the previous segment. I bet this earlier. Duncan Robinson over 2.5 made threes minus 108 against this really, really bad 3-point defense with Charlotte. Duncan's the guy. He takes a lot. I hope he makes a lot tonight. And we'll go St. Mary's Pepperdine officially here. First half under 64.5. I think St. Mary's is going to come out tonight, completely control the tempo. And the first 2 times they played, for what it's worth, the first half stayed way under 64.5 points. What will you do if Pepperdine wins the game? Be pissed that I don't have them. So you would go 10.5, 15.5, 20-point dog. Back-to-back-to-back wins. They got 2 of them out of the way. I mean, what's the money line tonight? Oh, it's got to be 15 to 1. What the hell is it? I mean, they're 20-point dogs. They cashed 10 to 1 last night. This is crazy. Yeah. 15 to 1. 15 to 1 on the money line tonight. Good call. Yeah. So, and then if they win the game tonight, what is Gonzaga? If Gonzaga wins tonight, what do they open? More, yeah. I think you agree with Nick? Nick says they're higher. Higher? Does Gonzaga blow out San Fran, too? We'd be going, hey, everybody, we got a 24-point spread on the title game. Again, you probably will never see this ever again. No, never. Pepperdine, folks, they are in the semifinals of the conference tournament. They are 225 to 1 to win it right now. Yeah, right. As of this second. Damn right. That's wild. What do you think of this? Like the Southern title tonight and what's going on here with Delaware. I mean, this is not good for the sport. This is not why Madness is so great. It's not. Delaware's tied right now with Towson. This is a 12 seed against a 1 seed. This team, they're like, they won 5 games the whole year in league. Right. They're 20 minutes away from going to the title game. I would much prefer these smaller conferences put in their best team. Stupid. No one runs the sport. You can do whatever you want. Edge Boost, the first ever bank account built for bettors. That's also common sense. Ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No minimums. Earn cashback rewards. 100% approved for all betting deposits. EdgeBoost.bet, promo code FTM. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. Make money daily. Don't leave money on the table. Card never declined. You're already betting. Get paid doing it. EdgeBoost.bet, code FTM. EdgeBoost.bet.
I got a 17-1 the way it looks.
All right.
Maybe an 18-1 out there as well on Pepperdine Moneyline if you really shop around. I want to give this to you, Pauly. You've been saying this on the air. We've had this conversation many times over the years on this show, and that is if you're planning to come to Las Vegas during the Madness, consider this week, championship week, as opposed to next week for various reasons. One, hotel rates go through the roof next week. It's one of the busiest weekends of the entire year. Number two, sports books are going to be much less crowded this week. Number three, you have more games. And this is a great email that we got from Andy. The email is ftm@vsin.com. So why is this week better in college basketball than next week? He said, let's compare Thursday and Friday with the first round of the NCAA tournament. You're going to get 16 games each day. That's 32 in total. According to ESPN this week, Thursday we have 48 games. Friday we have 38 games. Pacific time zone. Thursday, 15 games will tip off before noon.
Wow.
That is heaven. 26 before we get off the air at 4 o'clock. 15 games will be in progress during our show, not including the ones that started at 11 a.m. that might go over the 2-hour window. The last games will start at 8:30 p.m. On Friday, 8 games will tip off before noon Pacific time, 17 before we sign off at 4 p.m. At least 10 games will be in progress during our show, not including the ones that start at 11 a.m. and might go over the 2-hour window. The last games will start at 9 p.m. Case closed. There you go.
Yep.
He summed it up beautifully.
Yep. Oh, I'm really going to be pissed if Towson loses this game.
What do we have for in-play numbers?
Delaware came into the tournament losing 12 of their last 13 games, including a 30-point loss to 2-seed NC Wilmington, who plays tonight.
That's fun.
They won Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and now they're up 2 right before halftime against the 1-seed Towson. So they would have to win 5 games in 5 nights. If they win this, then you get right. Wilmington is the best team in that league, even though they're not the 1-seed. They were plus 180 in some spots to win it before it started. They lost all those games coming into the tournament. Now they're trying to make it to the title game as a 12.
Currently, Towson is a 2.5-point favorite, juiced, almost minus 130, and they're minus 175-ish on the money line. And Delaware has the final possession here of the first half. They lead 34-32 as the clock winds down here. Maybe you can get a decent number here on Towson to come back and win this game if Delaware scores here.
Yeah.
Are they going to get a look? Oh, my God, they got a ball! They got a beautiful look and an alley-oop dunk basically at the buzzer for Delaware. Did you see that?
I missed it.
Oh, my God. That's unbelievable. This is a 12-seed Delaware with that kind of coaching and execution. Watch us play in the final seconds. Look at the dunk.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
His head's above the rim.
Yes.
Looked like me out there.
What a design play.
Wow, you're right. That was a great call. That was a man. He caught it with one hand and threw it down. Tomahawk slam. Wow.
Boy, now you got to be rooting for Delaware to win the game after something like that, Paul.
Oh, man.
Let's see here.
What
Okay,
a
so
show.
after that.
Also, Garrett Cole out for the year. Tommy John. It's official.
It's official.
Wow. Get your Red Sox bets in.
Grab your Yankees and miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
Towson minus.
Yeah, because Heel's out 3 months, too.
Yeah. The adjusted number now. Well, here you go. Towson minus 120 to win the game.
120?
Minus 120 to win the game.
A 1 seed against a 12 seed. That's played 4 days in a row. Down 4 at the half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get the numbers here.
I will say, it's embarrassing if they can't win this game.
Delaware is shooting 52% from the floor. They're 3 of 10 from downtown. Towson's 3 of 8, but Towson's shooting 44%. They're only out-rebounded by 1. Good game.
Prime time up next. Cashing out Joe Sorrell, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. By the book, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Thanks to the guests. Thanks to the crew.